to tackle framing projects. So the example earlier was this little guy here. So you have it all done, now what? There's always the option of taking it to a framer and having it professionally done. That's fine. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. If you're like Mom and I, and you're like, well, I could do that myself and it'll cost a fraction of the price, stay tuned because you're going to learn. Because you are right. You can do it yourself for a fraction of the price.
And ours is a rustic framing.
Yes, it's not professionally done. This is, we feel we do it really nicely, but it is not, if you look at the back, it is not, well, it looks good. So I'm not going to get ahead of myself there. So frames. First of all, we'll talk about frames. Where to get them, what can I use, what can't I use, what should I look for in a frame. We tend to use primarily the open stock frames from Hobby Lobby. Hobby Lobby, because we're a bigger audience, I should just say Hobby Lobby does not know we exist. We are not like paid endorsers for them in their little world. Their world, they have no idea who we are. So this is just what we use. Most of our frames come from Hobby Lobby in the open stock frame department.
And I know Michael's carries them, and
any craft store you can go in.
Or you can get a regular frame and throw away the glass.
Yep, get into that next. So this is what we use mostly, are the open stock ones from Hobby Lobby, because you're not paying for a piece of glass you're not going to use and all that stuff. So we tend to get these, and quite often we get them on the 50% off sale, and then we buy just a few of them to have on hand here because it seems like we're always needing a frame. So that's where we get them. This one is pretty rustic. If you look at our website, sometimes we have ones that are more elegant, more fine-tuned, just plain straight black. We just try to match our project and use whatever you want. So if you do not have a Hobby Lobby near you, or you don't like what you're seeing, you can literally go to any Kohl's, any Walmart, Target, any place that sells pictures or picture frames, and just pick something you like. It's that easy. You can go to a thrift store like the Salvation Army or Goodwill or someplace like that, and you can thrift a picture just because you like the frame, and take it apart and throw away what was in it and just use the frame. We've done that before too. And then even if it's like, say I like it but it's gold, you can go get a can of flat black spray paint or white spray paint and just make it the color you want. So there's a broad spectrum of costs on frames there. Anywhere from custom framing to garage sale free box. Just find something that you like or make it something you like. I really like painting things and spray painting things. I get that from my dad. We're constantly spray painting something. So I tend to like just find things that work and make them work. But it's up to you. Do what you want. So that's the frame. Did I miss anything there?
No.
Okay. So now how do I get my finished project, which in this case, we are going to be framing, and this is an older project. It was just unframed in our drawer, so it's the model today. It's called the Mighty Mississippi. I'll do a brief introduction because I'm pretty sure we still have patterns on it. And it just charts the path of the Mississippi River from Lake Itasca all the way to the Gulf of Mexico, and a little comic relief for you there, because I like to be funny sometimes. When we used to take this to quilt shows, we would hang this up, and it would sell like hotcakes. And we would, every show, we would get someone that would come and they'd say, "That is absolutely stunning. I love it, but could you put Ohio on it, or could you put," and then they'd list their state. And then I think one day I'd had enough and I was tired and exhausted, and I looked at the lady and I said, "Honey, you have your own river." So it is the states that touch the Mississippi River. And for a long time when this was re-released, we referred to this as wool mapplique, because it's a map and applique, so wool mapplique. So there you have it. So that's the Mighty Mississippi River, and now we're going to frame it. So we have our frame here, and we know the size will work. Should I switch to doing right here now?
Okay, this side.
Okay. So we've kind of measured our project. We picked the frame that we are thinking is going to work.
Unless that frame.
Oh, it's saying it's on. I'll just do it this way. So we picked a frame that we know works. We measured our project, we painted our frame, thrifted it, whatever, and now we're ready to frame it. So the first thing I'm going to do is turn my frame over, and I'm going to measure how big the opening is in the back. Because if you were to cut it, the opening in the front, you wouldn't have anything that tucks under and holds your project in. So we're going to measure the back opening. So right here I have our handy 3.5 by 12.5 inch ruler. It's like one of my favorites, and I'm going to measure. And this opening is 12 inches by 9 inches. So an inch bigger than the frame itself. So this is an 8 by 10 frame, so it's 12 by 9. Yours might be different, so don't rely on that. If you're off by a little bit, it won't matter, but you just want to make sure that your project does sit on this little shelf on the back and is bigger than the opening. So our project has already been trimmed. We know how big it needed to be. So now we are going to cut a piece of foam core board the size of our opening. So I should say Mom actually bought this one, I think, or me, I don't know.
Dollar store.
Dollar store, Hobby Lobby, one of those craft stores, Walmart, any place. This is foam core, and I think it's a 1/4 inch. It really doesn't matter as long, I wouldn't go any thinner than this, but this appears to be a 1/4 inch thick. You could do thicker if that's what you had, but I would not go thinner. Would you agree?
Piece of cardboard works if you have a
Piece of cardboard. It's not really, the only place you'll see it is on the back, and you could even be creative and cover your back with a piece of cardstock or a newspaper that has a funny article or whatever. So,
and you can find those that are archive safe too. If you're framing an heirloom piece, you might want to look for a piece of foam core or a piece of mounting that is archive safe.
So this one just came from like the dollar store. So that's all. And then we're going to take and just using, I always draw my box on, and then I just take, so I know I need 9 by 12. I take a ruler and draw a 9 by 12 square, and then just use an X-Acto knife to cut it out. If you have a rotary cutter that you only use for bad things, you could also probably use a rotary cutter and a ruler, but we like to use an X-Acto knife and just, it works. So you cut out your square, and we have our square. The next thing we like to do, and this is completely optional, is we like to cut a piece of batting the same size as our foam core board. So in this case, 9 by 12. And as you can see, this is even a batting scrap that we've zigzagged together down the middle. You can do it, you'll never see it. Mom and I both piece batting all the time for quilts. You will never see it. So we like to put a little batting just because that gives it a little padding, but not a lot, and it really makes it stand out in your frame. So then I have taken and used quilt basting spray primarily because this is acid-free and archival safe. I don't know why we worry that some of it is and some of it isn't, but this is just the basting spray you would use if you're sandwiching a quilt, anything like that, and we put like, it didn't take a lot, but just enough to kind of stick that piece of batting to our foam core board. So as you can see, I have stuck that to my foam core board. And then we're simply going to take and lay our foam core board on top of our project. And at this point, you can take and draw, I brought marking pens down here. You can take a marking pen, and sometimes I like to just take and draw just the corner of the 9 by 12 rectangle on here. Because that way, when you go to position your foam core, you can feel the corner, but you can't see it. So you can feel where that 9 by 12 should be, and then you know you're lined up just right. Does that make sense, Mom? Did I miss something there?
You're doing good.
Okay.
And been doing this for like forever, but you're on.
I'm on. So, and then I'm not actually gonna spray here because I don't want to get basting spray on this lovely, gorgeous Market Square quilt. But
I'm sorry, I'm cutting your head off. I cannot. Okay, we're doing
but at this point, at this point, I'll come down here.
Yeah.
At this point, I would take my basting spray and just do a few little squirts here, but I'm not doing it here because I don't want to get it on this. And then stick it back up. So it's stuck on there. We'll pretend it's stuck.
Here, I'll go do it quick.
Oh, I did it earlier and I just went in the bathroom and did it because I figured everything in there is washable. So while she's doing that, the basting spray just helps hold it all together. Otherwise, when
I
you,
like to get archive safe stuff.
I did talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
And-
sorry, I was
Oh,
panicking
she-
with the pen.
And then it holds it together because when you go to put it in your frame, you don't really want everything shifting around. It gets way too hard to try to center it and when
Center-
things aren't really staying together very well.
center it like
Okay, so we're gonna hope it's pretty well centered. Yep, looks good. And so now it's all stuck together. And then we're simply going to take, and if our frame doesn't have a top or bottom, but if yours does, you'd want to take an extra second here to make sure that your top is going in the top, because we have had some before that do have a top and a bottom, and we've gotten them all done and they're upside down. So then I'll turn it backwards this way. Everything is stuck together, and then you just kind of pop it in your frame like that. And it just kind of, because everything was cut just a little bit bigger, it all just kind of nestles in there. And at this point, you can turn it around and make sure you're still pretty centered. Because if it's not centered, the beauty of the basting spray is it sticks, but not well enough that it doesn't come off. So if you're not centered, you can very easily peel your project off and recenter it and do it again. Is there anything that needs to be added at that point?
Nope.
Nope, doing good. Okay. So now that we have it in our frame and we love the way everything looks, we are going to finish it, because I don't know about your framers, but when I actually get things framed and I pick them up, they don't usually look like this on the back. So we are going to put some tape on it. And so that is simple. I don't have a scissor. Do I? Well, I do, but I don't want to use a Havel on this because that would be a big mistake. So you can go to a crafting store and get actual framing tape. That's fine. You can use masking tape. That's fine. Strapping tape or the clear packaging tape does not stick well enough to really hold it in for the long term. Mom and I like to use black duct tape. So you're going to cut. We think, and it is not archival safe, obviously, it's duct tape. But what it does do is it does stick well enough that it sticks the fabric down and it holds everything together and it never comes off, right?
Mm-hmm. I don't know if I got that corner right over there.
I'll do it with my finger as I go. And one thing, oh, I got a little hole there. You could use flame duct tape, red duct tape. You can use whatever tape you want. I suggest not clear strapping tape because it doesn't stick well enough. We've tried that one. And then we'll do this other end so they're even. And I sometimes like to line it up, make sure you get the right length piece. It's sticking to me. Oh, I made it an inch too long. What are you going to do with me, Mom? I don't want to cut her. There we go.
My finger's out the way then.
And I like to line it up nice and square with my other ends. You do the same thing. I've never seen you do it, but I'm guaranteeing you do it the same way. That way it looks nice
I do
and
like
square.
to cut it nice and square, not rip it.
So that they're all the black lines up on the corners and that corners meet. There's no ragged edges. There we go.
take this home now that it's framed.
You probably should.
I think I should.
And there you have it, a beautifully framed project. So, now you know, that's how you do that. And once again, this is just how we do it. I'm sure there's a million different ways you could do this. This is just a technique that we've been doing since the beginning, and it just always works. So,
And sometimes on the back of mine, to make them look nice and neat, I will take brown paper, like from a brown paper bag, or I buy a roll of brown paper, and then I use brown paper tape to tape over the top of that, and it looks totally
it'll look like a
professional.
professional framer.
Yep, and then add your hook, of course, your little alligator hook on
Little
the
picture
top.
framer.
Yep.
So there we have it, what everybody was wanting to know, how to frame your project. So